part of our program is Dante, who will give us a self-analysis of his creative outburst of creativity for doing our e-cards.
Time. So I'll focus more on how I came up with the theme and the process of getting ideas for to make the e-cards. All of us are quite creative, as you all know. It's just a question of exploring our potential. So being creative is the ability to come up with new and useful ideas in any areas of interest. I'll be focusing on art only because of the e-cards context. A creative art helps us focus our mind. It's almost like a meditation because of its calming effects to our mind and body. Creativity also reduces anxiety, depression, and stress generally, but to some extent, it also helps process any trauma, which I can actually relate. So this presentation is almost like a self-reflection, self-awareness, and a way of expression of art from my early childhood until this time. Since I'm one of the celebrants, I guess you could give me that opportunity. Now, the BC Deer, Beta, Chito, ST, Rose, and myself have been quite collaborative in making all these e-cards. So my influences dating back from early childhood, you probably know I was born in Batangas. My parents are both high school graduate. They're very hardworking and they own a business. My mom particularly was into glassware and gift shop. And so I realized that she was quite creative herself. Looking back when I did this presentation, she was very good in colors. She did all the display in the shops and then quite good with it, almost instinctively. My dad, on the other hand, was more the labor part of the business, but I realized that he was also very good in some aspect as far as creativity in art. What struck me with my dad is his penmanship. I actually like his penmanship because I've always wanted to write the way he did because of the symmetry and the stroke. And I actually realized that I was trying to imitate his signature. I learned it to the point that I actually mastered it. And I remember as in elementary or even in high school, I was signing the school card for my siblings and it went through okay. The teachers accepted it. I was signing the permit. And there was a time that I even was signing checks for my dad on his behalf and it went through easily without any problem. So I actually was so good in duplicating his signature and I always appreciated that. Now in high school, my parents separated. My dad went to Naga and he went with my oldest sister and brother, and we were left with my mom in Batangas. Eventually, they reconciled, of course, because from 8 siblings, we became 9. So there's another child born in Naga. Now, when I was in elementary, high school, I was exposed to jewelry and painting by numbers because my uncle in Naga owned jewelry store, and I became fascinated with gems and all this stuff that they sell. Medicine was quite quiet because basically we were buried in books, and the only thing I had in mind was to pass the course anyway. I left Philippines. I was a resident in medicine, extern at the UST, work with Mila Estrada during and work in the private hospital and the charity hospital. But for some reason, Joseph and his group, that would be Lito, Emil, Noli, they picked me up and we went for an interview at the Clark Airways and I got accepted. So that's the end of my UST years. I spent time in Clark, and that was Tony was also there, Tony Buson in surgery. I was in internal medicine. I left the Philippines for Saudi Arabia in 77. And then different exposures as far as art happened. I became a collector of Persian rugs. When I was in Riyadh, I learned how to name Persian rugs based on where it's coming from. and I was interested in all the design, and really it became so easy for me to recognize it, and I really liked it. When I left Riyadh, I was in Edinburgh and UK, and it was easy to access Europe. The only way I cope with the weekends and stuff that I need to separate from work is going to galleries. And you probably know in London there were at least 50 galleries that are free. So you can literally go there and learn more about art. When I moved to Canada, the same thing. The exposure is more the Aboriginal art, and of course the famous group of seven who started the Canadian way of painting landscape. And I won't be specific about the trauma, but I went through that quite a bit, and I don't think I ever recovered with my accident in Saudi, where I was coded. I was in ICU for 6 weeks, I think. I took VQE in Jordan. I was with some Lebanese, Egyptian, and Middle Eastern residents. But when we crossed Jordan, we were treated so badly to the point that we were 8 hours in the border. They have to literally remove everything in the car, and it was so traumatic just to take a VQE exam in Jordan. In 2005, I think I was in King's Cross Station when it was bombed. And then, of course, some family trauma when my sister and her husband were killed in Naga or in Bicol. And for some reason, the trauma affected the family in general. And it was not easy for me to handle it too. That somehow I think my interest in the art helped me cope over the years. Good news, by the way, this baby is Iñaki Miguel. He was born just 10 days ago, so last week. And the big picture is about 5 days old. He's the new baby of my niece, first baby, who was born in Cardinal Santos. Beautiful baby, and I was so excited to get this picture, and that's the reason I wanted to share it to the group. First baby of Christine, my niece, who lives in Quezon City. Now, just quick picture about some of my rag collection. This is my small condo in Toronto, and the picture above the TV is actually a picture I bought at the Trump Tower, Vilma. It's actually one of the gallery. It was original by a Chinese artist, Ji Cheng, which is called Celebration. On the right is just a list of Tom Thompson painting, which is more Canadian, and it was a celebration of his death anniversary. After he died in 1917, and then they produced a whole package of painting by him, which I decided to get a few years ago. This is the celebration piece that I got from Trump Tower, and it's a bit wild, but it's quite good. It's too bad because of the reflection. It was not well appreciated. Now, in one of my trips in UK, Tate Gallery, there was this painting that I really appreciated. It's done by Frank Bramley, 1888, and it's full of affect. The picture on the left is the copy of the original. It's about a woman who's kneeling and being comforted by the mother-in-law because of the loss of the son in the sea. And if you notice, at the back of the window is a stormy weather, but on the side of the table, there is an open Bible, and it's quite a good picture because even though the son hasn't returned, it's almost hopeful because of the spiritual message of the picture. And I saw this at Tate Gallery. I really loved it. And then for some reason, the right side is a picture I have of the same picture, which I got in an auction in Victoria. And I got it in an auction. It was very black. It was really ugly. And I bid for it because I just loved it. And I was lucky to have it cleaned. And it's one of the best painting I really appreciate. And it's called Hopeless Dawn. a hopeless dawn. Now, this is a typical Canadian painting, which is more the style of Tom Thompson, which is more, they say it's a spiritual way of expressing the forest and landscape in Canada. And the other side is the collection I have. I have one original A.Y. Jackson. He's an artist in 1930. I'm hoping if I can have this appraised, I'll be able to use the money for our investors group, and I may have something to start with, and hopefully I'll get some money. This is the famous Last Emperor, Puyi, I think, from the Qing dynasty. Again, the dynamics of this painting is amazing because of the emperor who was treated unfairly, but he became bad anyway. It was well portrayed in the movie by Bernardo Bertolucci, I think. And for some reason, I can understand why he became bad, because how can a 2-3-year-old, after being removed from the family and being separated, the mother expected to be a good emperor? He was just too young anyway. So now back to the e-card. So you know my influence. So you know, because of that, you know where I'm coming from as far as the theme I present. I'll do this later. So the February one was easy because the theme is about heart, Valentine's Day. I did this on my iPhone and I was happy about it, but looking back now, I think I could have improved it better. The March one is about aquamarine. Again, back to gems. And for some reason, it was simple enough, but at least it depicted the March month, birthday month. Diamonds in April was more exciting because though diamonds are supposed to be lucky babies in April, the big automatic reaction I had was the James Bond film. And because of this, I found this invitation to a diamond party, I think, and they used James Bond too. And it was very appropriate because it fits with the pictures. And if you notice, I featured Chito as the James Bond of Class 74 anyway. So May is tough because it's emerald and flowers, and I keep changing the theme, but I was not so happy. But when I realized May attract flowers, attract butterflies, the next was a better presentation, and it's still green that reflects emerald. Now, June is more pearls and rose. And of course, because it's Gemini, I was able to put 2 pictures for people who are Geminis and the single one who belongs to Cancer. Ed Osea, I could not find any pearl for Ed, but I was able to put a golf ball to feature Ed. So it fits the subtle presentation. I plan to do all the e-cards in each month, but I just didn't have time. And I like to eventually be able to present all the e-cards and the individual e-cards of that particular month. Ruby is I like this card because I found a good ruby that has a reflection like a mountain, because there are very few celebrants. I was able to put them together below. And because of the facet of the ruby, it gave me enough time to write the message, and of course the water lily. Again, this is the e-cards in individual month. Some of the month I was not able to add all the e-cards done by Rose, but I'm going to complete it eventually. Now in August is the year of, it's more peridot as the gem. What happened every month, ST has been very good to us from the team. ST will give us the symbolism of the month as far as the gem, the flower, the tree, and the sign. So it was easy for me to pick it up. So in this one, I prefer the poppy and then the different shades of peridot, which fits all the faces of our celebrants, and the background being a bit subtle, which is really good presentation. And again, this is the cards that was released on that particular month. And we try to include all the cards, even for celebrants who are not even reachable, because we want to cover everybody for the whole year. September was also, it's early fall, but it's sapphire. This card is a bit messy or crowded, but I actually like it because of the background in blue. And of course, the theme here is September being, we'll see you in September when summer is gone. So this becomes the theme of that particular month. And I actually like it because I was able to instant alpha all these leaves to fall on top of the sapphire stone. And this September is also interesting for me because I became uh, obsessed about the specialization of the celebrant. That this is the month I use. We have three psychiatrists, Dulce, Tonette, and Linda, and I was doing the card in such a way that it would present their specialty. Amy is neonatology, Dennis Damaso is surgery, Richard Molina is in nephrology, and of course Herbert Barrios in ophthalmology. Some of the other cards are by ST, Rose, Beta, and Cheeto, but I should have more space eventually when I complete it. Uh, then the October one, originally my plan was just the Libra to separate all the women and men in the scale, but then I realized there's at least 9 people who belongs to Scorpio, and so I have to change that again. And of course the opal stone is featured on both, and I actually like this card. The October one is interesting because I was doing I tried to do the art logo style. This is when Art Deco, I should say. Art Deco is more the linear, straight lines and angular uh, art in the. I think it's an extension of Art Nouveau, and I tried to do Art Deco in all the cards, particularly the card of Ato Reyes, Linda Roy, and the others. Even in Ato's card, I was quite subtle because I included the anolite and the nanotechnology that Ato was very keen about. Uh, Now, November was tough because I was so determined I'll do an Art Nouveau in November. I repeated it every week and keep changing it from a vintage picture to instant alpha chrysanthemum, hoping that I will put the faces of our celebrants in its blank. But then I didn't like it. And then so I added citrine and topaz. I still didn't like it. I become preoccupied with the e-card. It affects your day. I even think about it in between patients. I carry it with me when I'm having coffee, and then sometimes it even manifests in my dreams. And for some reason, when you dream about an e-card, when you reach that REM phase of your dream, I guess, of your thinking, it becomes all or nothing. And so for some reason, the dreams help me actually to create and have more ideas about the card. Now, I was not happy, and then I found this Art Nouveau picture of chrysanthemum. I could have easily put all the faces around it, but I realized I need to cut it to divide it, create a symmetry, and then realize that Erte, the Russian French artist, also exhibited an Art Nouveau of all the alphabets. So I was able to put November, and this turned out to be quite a good card, I think, even though it's busy because it's Art Nouveau from the beginning and the end. And then, of course, I maintained the Art Nouveau by using it borders in most of the e-cards I submitted. I like Jack Tan's e-card because Joseph sent me the pictures he had when he was a kid and when he was in pre-med. And somehow the picture turned out to be a good card. The December card is actually, this card was my inspiration for November. And I tried to do landscape. Again, I was not happy about it because the face is small. there's not enough stars. But when I put back to portrait, it became a better card to me, and as far as the faces of the celebrants. So really, and then to complete the 12, this was quick because Beta gave me all the pictures, and there were only 20 of us, I think. But I was doing it uh, everywhere, and then I realized it's 2021. The best way to present it is to do a 21, and there were 21 of us until we realized we missed June Bantayan, and so these are 22 celebrants in one card. And this is the representation of all the e-cards in 1 month. Yeah. Now, so to answer ST, it's really the techniques is the easier one. For all of us who would plan to do e-cards, we have our own unique style. Every style is good, and it's influenced by what we go through, antecedents, childhood, and even our personality, which affects our style in general. So in answer to ask this question, how did I come up with it? I really don't know. It's just a question of allowing yourself to create and do other stuff. So if we have time, I have very few cards that I really appreciate. Like with Luz Tacorda is the tapestry and presenting her pictures in with the birds. Virginia Poe worked in Malacanang, and I was able to get the picture of Malacanang at the back of the $20 bill. I like the addiction card of Nunette because of her specialty. Hermie is a surgeon. I used the pencil scalpel and lifted the message from the narrative book. So the narrative book is quite helpful because of the of the message that most of our classmates present. Adrian, Dan is a dermatologist. For some reason, the family picture helped me create that layer of the epidermis or the skin, and I really like this card, and I hope Dan really appreciated it. Uh, Chari is easy, you would think so, because she has so many pictures posted in our Viber. She's quite creative, and then but it turned out it was not an easy card. But I realized I found two pictures of Chari posing like a politician or probably a juggler, and I realized that I could present all her pictures or arts in the card. Tony's card is one of it's not an Art Deco, but I found a book on Opus Dei and it's actually the stairs. I love Tony's card because of his message that I got from the narrative, from the souvenir book. And if you have a chance to read it, please read it. And it's a beautiful message from Tony. Abe was very spiritual, religious. That could be my leaning, but I didn't know how to present it. I went to my laundry room and I found Norman Rockwell, and I said, "Oh, that's a good card for Abe," because it's pediatrician, and I was able to put her in the picture. And then this is a bit a surreal card. I mean, Chito Angeles lives in Victorville, is a small town before in California, close to Las Vegas. And there's a tiny historic museum there that I could find. So I included that. It's to me the most important part of that small town. And I inserted all the pictures. This is the only card that I struggle with what font to use. And I found this happy birthday in clouds or in smoke. And I decided that would be appropriate for him. And then before I could post this card, Chito was already celebrating his birthday in heaven. So he died before I could post this card. So it was quite, I don't know what happened. Maybe some subconscious telling me that probably there's a connection. Why I had to change it 5 times, I don't even know. But I believe that there is some energy there. Now, after all the presentation I did, all the cards I made, less is more, less is beautiful. I still think this is one of the best card I made. I refuse to write any message. It's clean, it's white, and thank you, Tess Tomorrow. This is my favorite card. Thank you. I hope I didn't spend too much time. Thanks a lot.
That was a great presentation, Dante. We appreciate your Now we know where your artistry came from.